my channel. So in today's video, we are going to be doing a story time, a very scary but heartwarming story that happened to me recently while I was at work. We're going to be talking about how I saved a dog's life. Now, this happened, I want to say two or 3 weeks ago, and I work at a dog grooming salon, so I see different dogs all throughout the day. I groom them, give them their haircuts, all that good stuff. But this day particularly, my last dog of the day, I have never groomed before, I've never seen before. And the one thing about being a dog groomer is we cannot medically diagnose a dog. We cannot make diagnoses. We cannot tell you what is wrong with your dog. The only thing that a dog groomer can do is be a very visual observer, and we can report things that we find abnormal to the pet parent to bring to the vet with. And when you are grooming dogs, you are literally, I would say, more up close and personal than vets are, because when you're a dog groomer, you have to get all up in the nooks and crannies, you have to get in their private parts, you have to get in between their toes, you have to really get in their ears, so over time, you start to, if you've been doing it long enough, you start to notice what's normal and what's kind of a little abnormal with the dog, and what, as far as anatomy goes. And especially if you've been grooming a dog for a really long time, you really start to get to know them, so you start to notice weird little bumps that pop up, or weird little things that happen on their body. But this dog that I had, they came in and they wanted a full haircut. Like I said, never seen the dog before. And after the dog was bathed, I went to go get her out of her kennel so I could dry her and start the haircut. And when I grabbed her out of the kennel, I noticed that she was very lethargic, very kind of listless, didn't really seem to care what I was doing. Because usually when, you go to dry a dog or groom a dog, sometimes they protest, okay? That's normal. Not every dog likes to be groomed, but this dog literally did not care what I was doing to it. I could pick her up, and she just kind of seemed like that. She just kind of seemed a little drowsy. And I thought that was kind of strange because, typically that's not what we're used to. We're used to a little bit of attitude when it comes to grooming dogs. And I was asking the other groomers, I was like, hey, have you guys groomed this dog before? Is this behavior normal for her? She just seems abnormally lethargic, more lethargic than just a tired dog. Do you know what I mean? Does that make sense? And they said, yeah, she was kind of like that last time too, but she's way worse today. So I started drying her, and she was kind of laying on the table. She didn't really seem to want to get up, which was fine. I started drying her while she was laying down, and I went to kind of pick her up so I could get her tummy dry. And when I went to do that, I felt her stomach, her abdomen area, and it felt rock hard, and it was very distended. Her abdomen was very distended and very, very hard. And I was like, okay, this is not normal. A dog's tummy should be, soft. It shouldn't feel tender. It should not feel hard. So I was like, what the heck is going on? I'm kind of feeling around very lightly just to see if she's painful anywhere, because I don't want to touch something if it's painful for her. So I'm kind of feeling, and it literally just feels like her abdomen is just like a rock. It was very strange. So once I get her dry, I go to do her sanitary area, which is her potty. So I do around her butt and around her vulva, because she was a female, so her vulva. And once I get to her, shaving the hair, around her vulva, I start to see something red. And, when you're a dog groomer and you see the color red, it is an instant heart attack, because one, you're thinking, oh my God, I cut the dog, or I cut myself. And so you start thinking it's blood, and you're looking around, you're like, crap, where's this red coming from? But I noticed it was it wasn't moving, and it was just solid red while I was doing her vulva. And I was like, what the heck? So I start shaving more hair off, and when I got the hair off, I noticed, and I looked, I looked at it very closely, and there was I would say about this big of just a red, hard looking tumor thing hanging out of her vulva. And I was like, whoa, what the hell? This is not normal. This is not okay. And the whole time the dog she is just laying there, she acted like she like wasn't even alive, and I was like, gosh, I'm getting like really uncomfortable, you know, doing this. Like, I don't know what's wrong with this dog. But being that I worked in a vet clinic for 4 years, I felt okay enough to continue the groom, because, you know, I was doing stimuli, I was like snapping, and she would like follow my hand, and she could hear me, she could see me. So she kind of knew her surroundings. But so we have the hard distended abdomen. We have this large grape red tumor hanging out of her vulva. Then I'm like, okay, what is her like capillary refill? Like, what do her gums look like? So I lift up her lip to look at her gums, and her gums were pale. They were not white, they were just very pale. They were not that perfect bubblegum pink that they're supposed to be. Her capillary refill was a little slow. Her conjunctiva looked a little bit pale as well. So I was like, okay, this dog is sick. Like, this dog does not feel good. There is something wrong with this dog. So once I saw all of these things, I was like, okay. So I quickly finished the haircut. Okay, this was not a good looking haircut. I basically just shaved off what she wanted shaved off, and I called it good. I did not do any finishing work on this dog. This was just a shave and go. So we called the owner, and I decided, and the rest of us decided, that we can no longer groom this dog until we get a letter from the vet clearing her that she's healthy enough, because she could have very easily died on my table. Once you guys find out what happened to her, she could have died on my table, and we did not want to be held responsible for that. So we wanted to tell the owner, hey, this is what's going on, this is what we observed, and we think that she needs urgent vet attention, and we need a letter from your vet clearing her that she's okay and healthy enough to be groomed. Because we just wanted to make sure we were covering all bases, and we don't want something to happen to a dog. Like, that is a groomer's worst nightmare, is something horrible happening to a dog, right? Like, you don't want anything like that to happen. Well, the owner picks up, she loves her dog, right? She pays for the groom, and she tips me, and then I had to say, hey, while I was grooming her, I noticed this, and this, and I really think that she needs to be checked out by a vet. I'm really concerned. I told her about the thing coming out of her vulva, and she had no idea, which is so strange to me, because you could see it. It's not like it was hidden. It's not like it was small. This was a little Yorkie. I guess I should have describe what kind of dog it was. It was a Yorkie, a female Yorkie, maybe about, 7 pounds, something like that. So, you could definitely see this thing coming out of her, right? I brought the dog out to her, and I showed her on the dog where it was, and she was like, I said, yeah, I can't tell, because she was asking me, she was like, oh, what is it? What do you think it is? And legally, I cannot tell you what it is, because I am not a veterinary professional. I am not a DVM. I cannot tell you what it is. I can only tell you that I find it concerning, and I think that it needs the attention of a vet. I am a visual observer. I am not a doctor. So I said, I can't tell you what it is. I have suspicions, but I'm not going to make a diagnosis. She just needs to go see a vet. So a few days go by, and someone comes into the lobby, and someone's talking to her, and my coworker comes up to me, and she goes, hey, the owner of the dog you had is here, and she wants to talk to you. And right away I'm like, oh my God, I'm kind of freaking out, because I'm like, is she going to tell me that her dog died? Is she going to tell me that I was wrong, said something was wrong with her dog when there wasn't? So I'm like, okay. So I go out there, and I talk to the owner, and she has a huge smile on her face, right? And I'm just like, hi, how are you? Starting up a conversation with her, and she goes, I just wanted to tell you that you saved, I'm going to try not to cry. This was the most heartwarming thing that has ever happened to me since working with animals. But she said, I just want to tell you that you saved my dog's life by telling me and showing me what you saw. If you would have never seen that, she would have died that day. Ugh. She said, I ended up taking her to the emergency vet later on that night because she wasn't acting right. And I was in the back of my head, I was like, I know she wasn't acting right. So she's like, I took her to the emergency vet that night, and they discovered that she had a massive infection in her uterus. So I'm assuming pyometra, which can happen if you don't spay your female dogs. So please, everybody, little side note, please spay and neuter your dogs. If you are not going to ethically breed, spay and neuter your dogs. There is absolutely zero health benefit of keeping them intact. Zero health benefit. Please get them neutered and spayed. Please. She had a massive infection in her uterus and it started to leak into her body and her insides were starting to come out. So that was that little thing I was seeing, is her insides were starting to protrude out of her because the infection had built up for so long. The fluids were pushing everything out and throughout the rest of her body, which would explain the very hard distended abdomen. It would explain the pale gums and the pale conjunctiva. They had to rush her into emergency surgery and she's doing great and she's back to her normal self. And I literally, I was almost in tears. I could not fucking believe this. I have never had this happen before. A dog could have potentially died. I've found cancer on dogs before, but nothing like this, because that was really scary. And if I would have in any way, moved the dog in a wrong way, her uterus could have teared and she could have bled out. Just the thought of what could have happened is so terrifying. I was just so freaking happy, and it was just a really heartwarming, good thing. And it made me realize how much I love working with animals, because we get to do these kind of things. We get to notice things, we get to help animals, and that's what dog grooming is all about. It's not about these perfect, beautiful show haircuts and these frilly bows and hair ties. It really does have a lot to do with their health. And dog groomers, we get a trained eye over time that we can see things that aren't right and see things that are not normal, so to speak. So it just made me so grateful for what I do. And she gave me a huge hug. It was the tightest bear hug I ever got. And I said, I'm so happy for you. I'm glad she's doing great. And that I couldn't wait to see her again, because I honestly can't wait to see this dog again, because I'm sure she's going to be a completely different dog by the time I see her again, because she's going to be healthy. She's going to be feeling better. Her body isn't going to be filled with infection. So it was just such a beautiful thing. And it just made me feel really good. And I feel like with everything going on in the world right now and the way the internet is right now, I just wanted to put out a very happy, heartfelt story out there for you guys as well. So that is the story about how I saved a dog's life. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this little story time. If you guys want more story times about my things that happen in my life, at my job, things like that, just let me know down below. I know story times aren't really popular anymore, but as you can probably tell, I'm not really one to follow trends. So just let me know what you guys think. If you guys enjoyed this video, please go down and give a huge thumbs up. Make sure you go down and hit that red subscribe button so you don't miss out on any future videos. But until then, I will see you very soon in my next video. I love you guys. Bye. Mwah.